What is up, C2 Wrestling fans? We are back. CTD Snowden, another Monday Night Raw review. Netflix is underway. Another pretty solid episode of Raw. I want to get right into the topics tonight. In the beginning hour of the show, we had Sami Zayn come out and enter the Royal Rumble. Fantastic, in my opinion. Figured he would be in there. I'm not typically a fan of them announcing 100 names, but they're announcing the obvious 10, 12, however many are going to get announced at this point. All fair game. Did not expect the interruption, though, that we did get during the Sami Zayn segment by Kevin Owens. What'd you think about that?
I immediately thought, fuck, Snowden's got me. That's immediately what I thought. I
I
immediately
do. I
thought, God
do.
fucking damn it. I immediately thought, where the fuck is Randy? This should be Owens Randy at Mania. God fucking damn it. That was my immediate thought.
Yeah, listen, I've been kind of booking this shit for the last couple months. I'm out here. Just answering phone calls from Triple H. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely been on my radar that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will be facing. I was not ruling out the Orton match that you had pitched, Owens Orton, because that's definitely a possibility. Orton's gonna come back before Mania, but I was like 98 to 2% sure it was gonna be Owens Sami. It seems like that was. That's a match that, like, I feel like for years has been like, this has to happen at WrestleMania. They haven't really had the opportunity to do that. And you don't always just naturally have the opportunity, and they do this time around. I love it. I hope that's the route they go, is Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. But what do you think it means for Sami Zayn? I just spit everywhere. And Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble.
I mean, we were texting during Raw. It feels like, given the promo where Owens was saying, you know, I'm gonna have your back because I know you're my best friend and you're gonna have my back. One would assume the ladder match happens before the Royal Rumble. Owens loses, takes it out on Zayn. I could see Owens not eliminating Zayn. I actually could see him taking Zayn out before Zayn even comes out. Maybe even taking his spot in the Rumble.
Yeah.
I could see something along those lines. But it is going to be the clear cut next step. But what's interesting, not to jump ahead, but you get the end of the show with the Zayn Rollins finish,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of adds a little bit of the mix. Look, I know I said before, I'm like, fuck, Snowden's right. It's still not impossible that we get Owens Orton at Mania. I think from tonight, we can venture to guess
Yes.
it's going to be Owen Zayn. But they're doing a great job with all of these guys. You have no idea who they're facing at Mania.
Yeah, no idea. Not to jump around, but you mentioned the main event. Before the haluva kick to Seth Rollins, I was writing down, in my brain, okay, well, Drew and Owens versus Seth and Sami is, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown or Chamber or the Rumble, that's a tag match that will happen. But then the haluva kick hit Rollins. That definitely makes you think, there's some tension between Seth and Sami. But I think it's going to be just kind of tension and they can work through it type thing. Owens versus Zayn still, I think, is piquing interest. I feel a little bad for Drew. Like, Drew's in the mix, but where's he really in the mix? Like, what's the Drew Mania match? He's the tough one to kind of place there. But Sami Zayn versus Owens, I was thinking about it too. You're right. We were texting about it before, and very similarly to what you just said, I kind of solidified on the idea that I can see, maybe the Women's Rumble opens the show. I would imagine if the men's is going to close, maybe the ladder match opens the show. Right? If you do that, if you do the ladder match opens the show at the Royal Rumble, Owens loses without help from Zayn. Zayn does not come out, nothing. Owens loses clean to Cody. Women's Rumble, whatever else they do, men's Rumble. You have a little bit more time in between the segments to have Kevin Owens attack Sami Zayn backstage, confront him, beat the shit out of him or something. Zayn still enters the Rumble, but comes out, as if his body is yellow on 2K, comes out a little injured and gets eliminated by another heel. Austin Theory throws him over the top rope or something, pretty quickly. And that is just another stepping stone to the Owens-Zayn feud. The Rumble, we're 3 months away from WrestleMania, whatever you want to call it. They have a little bit of time to build that. There's enough time. They could do it, though. They could absolutely build it without kind of oversaturating the Sami KO stuff. Sami and KO have been kind of tied destinies for their entire tenure through WWE. So, having a 3 month program between them, it's a lot. There's already been a lot of bases covered between these guys, but it's two guys that, again, you could put them in a ring any day of the week. I'm tuning in.
Before the Rumble last year, you had a strong idea on where most of Mania was going.
Yes.
Like, you had a strong case. Like, all right, it wasn't a lock that Cody was going to win the Rumble, but you knew they were planning Punk Rollins. You knew they were planning Cody, Roman, Cody, some sort of marquee match. You knew Bailey was most likely going to win the Rumble. You knew about Jimmy versus Jay.
Priest might
L-
cash in.
yeah,
Yeah.
LA Knight versus Styles was
Mm,
already being built. Like all those things were really being built towards. And again, there was still some strong like Vince influence. They're saying how, this is still like these are still the big shows that are just Triple H's stories now. This Rumble, it's like I'm going in, and each guy I feel like has 10 different avenues. So you mentioned Drew, like you kind of feel bad for Drew. I don't want to jump the gun on it because I'll be upset if this leads to the potential multi-person Mania match for
yeah.
sure, because there's plenty of good stories and plenty of good matches to go around. But at the same time, they have like all these things going on. For all we know, fucking Stone Cold might return and Drew faces Stone Cold. Like we Drew, like
Yeah.
it anything could
Yeah.
happen. So I'll refrain on the sympathy for Drew for right
Yeah,
now.
I do agree. Anything could happen. Stone Cold literally could return. I mean, it's happened, so
Yeah.
it could happen again. Now, I do got to bring up, Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. They had a little bit of a backstage segment before the main event tonight, where Sami Zayn comes over, cookie cutter. Hey, we're friends. We're friends. I'll beat you in the Rumble. No, I'll beat you in the Rumble. In the background, lurking was Karrion Kross. Are we going to get some involvement from him? I mean, maybe that's like a little shoehorned into this four-way feud between the guys we've been talking about: Owens, Drew, Seth, and Sami. But the Final Testament stable is kind of going after guys like Seth Rollins right now. He falls into that realm. And Karrion has always been one of those guys that I feel like it's just been timing. Like they're waiting for the right timing to push a Triple H guy. Karrion is a full blown Triple H guy. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a good mid card push at some point. Maybe this is the start of it.
It could be the start of him versus Rollins for Mania. It could
Yes.
also just be what turns Rollins heel.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be nothing. It could absolutely be
He
nothing.
could have been looking at Sami.
Yeah, he could have been looking at Sami. Exactly. It could be anything, honestly. But Karrion Kross, they didn't just put him back there to put him back there. They also didn't have to have anybody. It wasn't Chad Gable back there. It was Karrion Kross for a reason. It could lead to like one match on Monday Night Raw just to fill a week. But I don't know. To me, you got to read between the lines nowadays in WWE, and it could be something. I'm intrigued. I like Karrion Kross. I like the stable. I think they have something there.
Completely agree. And he falls into like there are so many guys for Mania and gals
Mm-hmm.
that it's like there's going to be some good wrestlers that you kind of shoehorn in. There's going to be some good wrestlers that may even get left off. Last year, he was in a not so prominent match, but was on the card,
Mm-hmm.
probably deserving of a bigger moment. But then again, like there's only so many matches. If he's facing Seth Rollins, though, that sure as shit ain't going to be on the pre-show.
Yeah, absolutely. Karrion Kross versus Seth Rollins would be on one of the main shows, and he's in a stable. He's not going to be the one to win the tag titles, though. Karrion and The Miz when you got the author's pain right there. So he doesn't really fit the bill in a tag team match. It's not really on the main shows anymore, but he fits the bill for like the Andre Battle Royale winner this year if they're going to run that. I know it's kind of like a SmackDown thing now, but still some prominent stuff. You saw Bronson Reed win it, and then he got a pretty good push in this last year. But Karrion Kross might not be on the Mania card unless it's versus Seth Rollins. I'm not opposed to that. It kind of gives me vibes of like Seth Cesaro, where Cesaro kind of got that like Mania spotlight against him. But I don't know. I don't know if the fans are gonna, as much as I love Karrion, and I think he is an underrated wrestler. I don't know if the fans are gonna buy into that as much as they could other potential storylines right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love Carrion, but when you start looking at potential Seth Mania matches, I mean, him running it back with Punk is still a possibility.
Yeah.
Una, he could face Roman for all we know. Like, there's some big potential matches for him. Not trying to discredit Carrion. I love Carrion. Shout out TNA.
Yeah.
But it would feel for Seth to go from main eventing with Cody against The Rock and Roman, defending his title the next night, then being like a favorite to win the Rumble, who could potentially face Gunther, Punk, Roman, whatever, to face Carrion, who hasn't really been on anywhere near as much as all these other guys or showcased as much. It would feel like a letdown.
It would feel like a letdown, and I don't honestly, I would love a Carrie and Seth feud. They can fill any pay-per-view, any show, but this WrestleMania, a couple months out, doesn't really fit the bill to me. What does fit the bill, you just kind of mentioned him a moment ago. CM Punk, he's going to be at WrestleMania. He's going to be at the Royal Rumble. Our boy Phil, what a promo tonight by Phil. You mentioned it to me as I was watching it. Love the location of that promo. That stood out to me, and it was great. The overview of the crowd. If you're going to give that to anybody, Jey Uso with CM Punk, that's the guy that gets that kind of promo right there. Fans loved it. That was fantastic.
I have not seen or heard CM Punk talk like that since we met him.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think that was still probably like a tenth of as much as he said to us.
Yeah, he just wouldn't stop talking, man. He was a chatterbox.
Chatterbox.
No, I love that promo. That promo was awesome. Him making fun of
Awesome.
Hulk Hogan,
Yeah,
awesome.
I actually already made that my ringtone for everything. Yeah, is CM Punk shitting on Hulk Hogan.
Heartwarming moment. I'll admit I've been slammed with work. I was watching Raw, then there was points where I kind of had to lock in. So for promos, I was kind of half listening, half not. And I completely missed the biggest slip in of the promo.
Yeah, I had to point it out that CM Punk had mentioned somewhere along the lines he's got a favor or two he might cash in on, and this reference all the way back to Bad Blood, a long-term storytelling baby. Paul Heyman owes one. Did I say Bad Blood? War Games. War Games. Sorry, War Games. Bad Blood. What am I thinking?
Well, you're thinking about the huge moment of The Rock returning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mega moment. Yeah, mega moment. Yeah, so back at Backlash when CM Punk won. Regardless, Heyman owes CM Punk. Now, what does he owe CM Punk? I don't know. I'm struggling to really see the light on how they work out this favor. I like the idea of the favor. But when Roman's a face, he doesn't have a title. Heyman's not the manager that's going to come out and throw sand in someone's eyes and help Punk win the Rumble. Heyman doesn't really have he's not a part of Solo's bloodline. He can't have Fatu and those guys go help CM Punk win the Rumble. Like, Roman's not going to do that. He's in it himself. What's the favor here?
It's tough because he says he's got a favor or two, and it's like, him in the Rumble, how the hell do you get that favor?
Exactly.
And I don't know. I mentioned to you, does he see that Punk, Punk sees that Roman drew number 29 and Punk drew number 3, and he tells Paul, hey, we got to swap here. You owe me one. Something. I don't know. Like it could be something as cheesy and simple as that. It could be, they're down Final Four and Roman's got to help Punk against someone. I don't know. What I do know, and I know we say this plenty, and I know this gets harped on, but I have to mention it here. Under Vince, you get a moment like this, and sometimes they do it and they don't know what the payoff's going to be, and they're like, oh, we'll figure it out later. Or they do it and then they change the payoff 5 different times, whatever. I am very confident that when they made this story, they did it backwards. They started with the end and they said, how do we get here? And they wrote it backwards.
Yeah.
And the start is Punk helps Roman from Heyman's ask and he's owed a favor. Yeah. So I have full confidence that whatever they do isn't going to be dumb as fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a plan. It's plain and simple as that. Like you said, they booked it backwards. Now, WWE, this is a reference for those Marvel fans. It's kind of like the Marvel timeline. There's all these different alternate universes endings. They have an idea. This is what we want to happen at WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble, whatever it is. You never know what can go sideways. So I'm sure they have some like alternatives there to what can happen, but this is the angle. What's the step behind it? What's the step behind it? What's the step behind it? So they definitely have a plan in motion. They wouldn't be doing this type of storytelling where they haven't really been mentioning this favor thing. It's something that stayed prominent on our minds, but it's because we're wrestling nerds. Of course, we're going to keep thinking about this, but it's something. I really am going to be surprised. Does he join Solo's bloodline and have Solo help Punk? Who knows? I really don't know. Does Solo start treating Punk like the tribal chief? I just don't know. It's honestly endless opportunities at this point. I'll tell you what, though, two things I'll end on this with CM Punk. I'm intrigued. I want to know where this is going. It in no way is bad that I'm confused. It's great. And two, that promo tonight kind of leaned me towards Punk winning the Rumble.
I was just about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of led me to thinking that Punk Cena is going to be the final two, and Big Match John's getting tossed out by old Phil Brooks.
Yes, yeah.
That's where, I mean, great promo, great moment. We have mentioned it would feel lackluster for Cena to win the Rumble. On top of it, for him to not even be there and just show up win the Rumble. I think we've even said this on this channel. Punk, it feels like, you're 2 weeks out from the Rumble. Don't get me wrong. You want Punk on the show. You want him to show up. He sells tickets, all that. There's been plenty of Raws that Punk has skipped and he's not on and it's perfectly fine. The wheel kind of keeps spinning. He didn't need to be on tonight to cut a promo. If anything, I would have expected this promo next week, the go home Raw before the Rumble. Him being on again this week, and he'll probably be there next week, that made me feel like, yeah, they're letting you know this is the guy.
Absolutely. He didn't have to be on. He didn't even have to do a promo via satellite, if anything. He didn't have to do anything tonight on Raw. And he did. It leads me to believe, there's been a lot of Rumble talk. Everybody's coming out there. I'm in the Rumble. I'm going to win. Listen, love you, Rey. Rey Mysterio's not winning the Rumble. You can see it through the lines on a lot of these people. Cena, top contender to win the Rumble. Are they really going to have Cena show up January 6th, not show up for 4 weeks, and then win the Rumble? It seems so weird to do that. I've already kind of had that in mind. And then seeing the Punk promo again tonight, the hype behind the crowd, you strike when the iron's hot, and it's hot, honestly. And I mean this back 10 years ago when Punk was in WWE. He's hotter now than ever.
Yeah.
It's now. You do it now.
Yeah, and Punk would probably say this himself. He's only got so many Manias left. And I think for when he was being brought back, I mean, they definitely planned for him to be main event night one last year.
Yeah.
I think that was the original plan for sure. Whether it was him, Rollins, Cody in a triple threat, whatever, he was definitely the plans to be a main event at Mania. I think that promise is still being made good. He ain't getting paid like a guy who's opening the show. He ain't getting booked like a guy who's opening the show. And they ain't treating him like he's some guy that's going to be in the middle of the card for when it comes to WrestleMania. I think there's a very strong chance Punk wins. And look, I don't think this is going to happen, but I got a weird feeling just randomly from tonight. I got a weird feeling we're going to get Punk Cody.
So I can definitely see that. Yeah, I could see Punk Cody because I can see, all right, if there's other avenues for Cody. If Cody's not going to go Punk, he can go Roman, he can go Rock, he can go Owens, Orton. There's other avenues, but there's also kind of other avenues for Gunther as well. And the other avenues for Gunther, when you combine it with Punk Cody, they fit a little bit better, in my opinion. I'll wrap this back a little bit to the favor that is owed. For me, Punk main eventing of WrestleMania is going to happen. I do believe it will be this WrestleMania, one of these nights. It's either for a championship against Cody Rhodes or Gunther, presuming both of them are champions going into Mania. No reason to change it up now. The only other person, if it's not the two of them, I should say two people. We did just mention Stone Cold can return whenever. Who knows? Listen, Stone Cold returns, him and Punk are closing the show. All right. Or maybe it is Roman. Maybe they do flip numbers. Maybe Punk does go late, Roman goes early, and that is just a seed to the feud between the two of those guys. So many doors for CM Punk, forbidden doors. I want to open all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I don't know. I said tonight I started to feel Punk Cody, and now I'm like, nah, it's definitely gonna be Punk Gunther. And I'm like, wait, no, it'll probably be Gunther Rollins. I'm like, oh wait, no,
Yeah.
Gunther, he could still face Goldberg, or maybe Cena does get the match. To call it back to what we said before, there are so many goddamn avenues
Yeah.
that this is like I'm excited for the Rumble because it's the Rumble, but I'm also excited because I think a few stories will become more clear from the Rumble itself that some guys have about 4 or 5 routes. They're going to get narrowed down after next Saturday.
Absolutely. I do think, to change topics a bit, one superstar that has a, storyline coming, we got narrowed down a little bit tonight. Penta, week number 2, had a standalone match with Pete Dunne, went over Pete Dunne. Good match, nothing too crazy, not some 20-minute classic like last match. Good match. Penta, over as could be. Electric entrance. The pyro was great. It's not even really Penta I want to bring up. It's Chad Gable. Chad Gable had a little bit of a segment. I know you said you were working a bit. You're kind of in and out of the promos. Chad Gable had a segment with Judgment Day, I'm sure you saw, where Chad
Mhm.
Gable was getting some tips from Dominic Mysterio. Who can help me? Who can I talk to? Did you catch that?
Yes.
Who do you think is on that list? Who do you think the name is?
Honestly, I think it's gonna be a segment where Chad goes to some back alley and it is some random guy that Dom met in prison.
Yeah, so okay, it's funny you say that because there's two things that I thought. One of my thoughts really was like it's gonna be like a fan in a mask or something,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a nobody, something silly, whatever. The other thought, and I've seen this online too. Chad Gable walked away saying, I'm about to learn the dark arts of Lucha Libre. Do you know who owns the dark arts gym and wrestling school?
Can't say I do.
Our boy Alistair Black and Zelina Vega.
Oh.
That is an option. Now, listen, Aleister Black's contract is up. It's coming up. We don't really know. If it's not up, they're not talking about him on TV. So that's not even an option. If it's up, that's an option. Maybe Chad Gable's going to Aleister Black. Maybe we get him involved with Chad Gable feuding with Penta. Who knows where they go? But listen, Dark Arts of Lucha Libre. Did he just say that for nothing? I don't know. That's a hint to me.
It could be. I don't see how that would. I could see Alistair facing Gable.
That would be where I think it is going. I think Alistair would be a great heel, but I more see that if that is how it's going to happen, it being Gable going to Alistair for help and Alistair kind of going after Gable and Penta having a whole other feud or something. I don't know if he's really going to be involved in that.
Yeah, and before we wrap up, to put a bow on Penta, awesome second match. Love it. I have a gut feeling he's not going to be in the Rumble.
I think that'd be a mistake.
I think he's not going to be in because I think he might fall under the umbrella of he's not going to win.
Yeah,
So don't put him in to have him get. Look, the Rumble is stacked. He could go in, have 3 or 4 eliminations, get eliminated by Drew, doesn't hurt him in the slightest.
yeah.
Perfectly fine, whatever. But I could see him not being in because there's already so many big names. I could see him falling under that umbrella of like full protection. Don't even have him in. Or if he is in, he's gonna be in like the fucking final four.
Yeah, I mean, I do see a world where he's not in it because, like, what are you going to have him? Is Penta going to eliminate Drew, Sami, Roman, Cena, Punk? Like, no, he's not gonna. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some stragglers in the Rumble that Penta could eliminate, do some stuff with, have some cool spots, full protection. I get the idea, but I think that's honestly like old regime thinking. We said last week, if this was Vince, it would have been a 5-minute match between Penta and Gable. Gable would have got no offense. Penta wins clean. Blah 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 blah. Under Triple H, it's a 20-minute banger. Gable gets to showcase himself over as could be. Penta showcases himself. I know those are two different things I'm comparing, but in a way, I feel like under this new regime, I don't think Triple H and co are thinking like that. I think they would go with the he might get eliminated, but it's not going to hurt him. Let's give him the mega spot in the Rumble. Let him do his Mexican Destroyer on Braun Strowman or something and give him that spotlight.
For sure. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he
Yeah.
wasn't. He probably is going to be. And as I mentioned, this is the most stacked Rumble probably ever. So, I mean, he could be in for 5 minutes and get eliminated by Cena. No one's going to be like, oh my God, Penta squash. Actually, people will say that. They'll just be wrong.
People will say it, but they will be wrong. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a pretty solid episode of Raw all the way around, though. We spoke about the main event a little bit earlier on. Not too much else to touch on there. Hell of a show coming next week, though. Tag team title match. And then we got Logan Paul next week, it looks like, on Raw. So some stuff to look forward
Cody
to.
as well.
Cody as well. Absolutely. Great stuff to look forward to. We're only getting closer to the Rumble, closer to Saturday night's main event, which we will be here live, C2 Wrestling, watching the show, hanging out with everybody yet again. It's been a blast anytime we've done these live shows. So be sure to come hang out with us. Also be sure, go down below, comment, like, subscribe. Find us on all the social media. TikTok's back. Wasn't gone for long. Find us on TikTok.
No,
and watch some
not.
clips.
Yeah.
I'm Snowden, CTD, C2 Wrestling.